You're watching Cape Media News, brought to you by Cape Media Center.
Tonight on Cape Media News, more protests at the airport Rotary.
Plus, a sneak peek at the upcoming Lower Cape Pride Festival.
And later, a recap of This Week in Sports.
These stories and more are coming up next on Cape Media News.
Good evening and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyper-local news that matters. I'm Suzanne Tenaire.
And I'm Rick Kuntz. April 19th was the 250th anniversary of the shot heard round the world, and local indivisible groups used the day to organize another protest at the Hyannis Airport Rotary. These standouts have become commonplace in the months since the inauguration, and turnouts remain high. While the traffic and crowds created a deafening atmosphere at times, some still made an effort to hear one another, and more importantly, to listen. Take a look.
I feel a lot of the times the media is very misleading. And then you get stuff like that where you're not supposed to be allowed to talk.
Trump is a liar and a traitor.
But that's the thing is, like, at the end of the day, whether you like Trump like I do, or you don't like Trump like they don't do, and we don't agree, it's like, at the end of the day, we're all Americans and we're supposed to all be on the same side. Now, something like that where I'm not supposed to be allowed to talk to you, and I believe she was trying to tell them that they're wasting their time to talking to me. They have every right to talk to me if they want to, and they have every right not to talk to me if they don't want to. It's their right.
I just want to understand why. Why do they think that he's better for them in particular, but better for our country? I mean, he's dismantling our country. He's completely obliterating due process. He's enacted all these tariffs that are a regressive tax. We're the ones who are going to pay for it, the working class people in the world. I mean, why is that helpful? And why do we think he's the better? So I just wanted to know why.
We clearly, there's a lot of things we don't agree about, but we're having a civil conversation. They're not here telling me that I'm a Nazi and I'm a racist and that I'm a istaphobe just because I have a Trump hat on. They came over to talk to me to see what I think about some things, some of which they feel strongly about, some of which I do. And we're still having a civil conversation and we're asking questions. Because it's not about trying to be right, it's about trying to get to what is right. And you can disagree about what that is, but as long as at the end of the day you're trying to work towards and you're trying to figure out what is right.
I think we have to have a civil conversation. We have to talk to each other. I don't think you can sit on the corner and say he's a liar and a traitor. You have to have a conversation about why you believe differently and understand and try to, and I don't want to be patronizing, but you have to try and understand why people can't see just how dangerous this administration is.
Late last month, the Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates declared a housing crisis on Cape Cod. During their meeting, they voted to advance a resolution that calls on local government to take the lead in developing regional solutions. The measure continues Administrator Michael Dutton's efforts to create a shared regional housing office and a working group comprised of housing, environmental, and municipal leaders. The measure passed by a vote of 14-1. The Assembly presented the resolution to the Barnstable County Board of Regional Commissioners, who later voted in favor of the measure.
The commissioners agreed that the resolution reinforces the county's existing efforts and highlights the need to balance development with environmental stewardship. Commissioner Mark Forrest agreed, stating that the resolution expresses broad support for a regional housing approach that our Human Services team has been advancing for some time. It's about making smart, sustainable choices that respect the limits of our landscape while meeting the urgent needs of our residents. This resolution helps solidify that momentum. This is exactly the kind of regional initiative envisioned when the county charter was created. We're proud to be moving forward together. The next step, according to the board and the Assembly, will be to coordinate and assemble the working groups.
Last week, Barnstable County officials announced that the Americanore Cape Cod program was at risk following the abrupt termination of federal funding. The funding cut was made without warning or due process by the interim head of the Americanore agency following intervention by the Federal Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. However, after the special meeting, attended by over 100 people, Barnstable County commissioners voted unanimously to fund Americanore Cape Cod through the end of the current service year.
Service partners, alumni, members of the Assembly of Delegates, elected officials, and current AmeriCorps members delivered personal testimony about the program's irreplaceable role in disaster response, environmental protection, public health, and community resiliency. The vote to fund AmeriCorps through the end of the year ensures that all ongoing projects and commitments can continue through 2025. Meanwhile, the county will explore long-term strategies to preserve AmeriCorps Cape Cod, including legal action, alternative funding models, and potential philanthropic partnerships.
Barnstable County Health Department is holding the last of this season's measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination clinic later this month. On May 28th, from 1 to 3 p.m., visit Dennis Center for Active Living to get your MMR vaccination. Measles is highly contagious and can be dangerous. The best protection against measles is knowing if or when you were vaccinated. If you were born before 1956, you were likely already exposed to measles and do not require a vaccination. If you were vaccinated between 1963 and 1967, the vaccine you received is considered ineffective and requires a second dose. If you receive 2 doses of the measles vaccination after 1989, you're protected and do not need another vaccination. To learn more about the measles or register for the clinic, visit capecod.gov/MMR vaccine.
On May 4th, known to some as Star Wars Day, the Yarmouth Police Department caused quite a disturbance in the force after they posted an AI-generated image of a police cruiser made in the likeness of a TIE fighter. Now, for those unaware, in Star Wars, the TIE fighter is the Empire's military spacecraft. The post was quickly flooded with comments pointing out that the Empire is the antagonist of the story, its leader being notable villain Darth Vader. We reached out to Yarmouth Police Chief Lennon for comment, to which he had this to say. Our recent Facebook post on May 4th was a lighthearted nod to Star Wars Day, an unofficial holiday celebrated worldwide. The AI-generated image was not meant to associate the Yarmouth Police Department with the evil Empire in any way. We were just playing along with the social media trend. We apologize if anyone was offended. The post racked up close to 400 shares and over 1,000 comments, many of which criticized the department, alluding to a lack of foresight and failure to consider how its public image impacts tense relationships between the police force and the community.
Coming up after the break, meetings, recaps, and more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News. Well, it's everyone's favorite time of the year.
That's right, it's annual town meeting season. Last week, the town of Yarmouth held its annual meeting at the DY Intermediate School with a warrant of 34 articles, ranging from standard municipal budget measures to feasibility studies. One particular article that stood out was Article 3, addressing fire department staffing needs.
I just want to be clear that this is a 2-year program that we've embarked upon, that the amount of manpower in this department really has been neglected for quite a few years and led to, being very much below what we need to respond to the calls. And we had a 2-year program which had a significant investment last year in adding the first 4, and we were able, by splitting it in 2, is to handling almost half of this staff increase underneath Prop 2.5. But there simply aren't enough funds under the 2.5 cap to take care of the 4 last year and another 5 this year. So by splitting it up that way, we've been able to limit the overall impact on taxes, but make no mistake that this is, an extraordinary item given our Prop 2.5 cap, and in order to fund this department up to the levels it needs to be funded, we do need to have that override. And so I would invite a couple of words from Chief Erasque on just some of the needs in his department.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Hello there. First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for having me and giving me an opportunity to speak on this. Obviously, as the fire chief, the fire department is very important to me and to this town. And what I think we really need to look at is the fact of the matter is that we don't take this decision lightly. We've worked very hard with the finance director and the finance committee and the town administrator and the select board to limit the impact. But the truth of the matter is that we have to do something to solve a problem within the fire department, a structural issue. And what's happened is over a long period of time, we haven't invested enough in the fire department. And I'm speaking very honestly. We are probably the busiest fire department on Cape Cod based on our staffing. We're doing 8,200 calls a year, which averages to over 25 calls per day. Today, during the day shift between 8 and 6 o'clock, we did 17 calls, including a couple of brush fires, a shed fire, and multiple medical calls. We are a very, very busy fire department. We're not the small town that we were many years ago, and what we need to do is prepare for what's happening, which is growth and an increased volume of calls. Over the last 20 years, we've had a 62% increase in calls. That's significant, 62%. And the fact of the matter is not only were we not keeping up with our demands, what we're also doing is losing valuable employees yearly. We're losing new employees who come in. We invest thousands of dollars in training, equipment, and uniforms. We get them ready to go, and then they go to other departments because they can go to other departments and get better benefits, better pay, and do half the work that they're doing here. So the fact of the matter is that we have a structural issue within the pay scale and our benefit schedule that we need to solve. The other issue is more of a human problem in that it's hard on the actual firefighters and paramedics who are working for us. We have a very high increased rate of line of duty injuries based on an overuse and overworkload on them. And we also have we tend to have a morale issue with the department because they're getting paid less and working harder and doing more calls than other departments around us. The other issue is that Cape Cod is growing, not just in the town of Yarmouth, but all of Cape Cod is growing. All of Cape Cod has increased their staffing, whether it be in public safety, police, and fire. And the other thing with that is a generational issue with employees. And the loyalty that we had that it was significant especially in public safety, doesn't exist anymore. And people are going where they're going to go to get better pay and to get better benefits. And what's happened is over time, we've made very incremental changes or increases in our staffing. As you can see, we've gone from, in 2012, 14 a shift till now at 2025. And what we're trying to get to is 18 per shift. We've kicked this can down the road for far too long. And unfortunately, the Yarmouth Fire Department has been a victim of their own success in able to handle the calls and the pressures that they've had over this amount of time without the investment that's necessary in the department and its people. So what we're looking for today, I don't take here lightly. I know I've skipped around a little bit. The bottom line is that an $845,000 override impacts the average single-family bill is $54 per year. I think that average is based on, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about $680,000 is the average home. So if your home is worth more than $680,000, it'll be more than that. If your home is worth less than $680,000, the impact will be less. And I think the significant part to mention too is what we just did in our last article, is that the fire department is very unique in that we make almost $3 million a year in revenue. $2 million of that over the last 20 years has gone to pay for salaries. And it also has paid for our capital expenses, which is obviously the fire trucks and ambulances that we use to go on those calls. So the fire department does, I think, a really good job of supporting itself in the work that we do. But we also have to be realistic and look around at our market area and take care of the people that work for the fire department and make sure that we're not overworking them and that we're able to respond to the calls and needs of the town.
Thank you.
And the week of the annual town meeting proved to be an especially busy one for the fire department. On the 28th, the fire crew responded to a residential fire at 22 Winter Street. After the first engine arrived on the scene, a full department recall was initiated, bringing crews from all 3 Yarmouth fire stations, off-duty personnel, and Barnstable Ladder 206 to the scene.
A few days later, on May 1st, Fire and Rescue dealt with a motor vehicle accident involving a fire engine while responding to a structure fire, the wildfire at Joint Base Cape Cod, and simultaneous vehicle collisions, a box truck taking out utility poles on White's Path, and a fatal motorcycle accident on Station Avenue. Coming up after the break, sports and more. Welcome back to Cape Media News. The Lower Cape Pride Festival is coming up next month, and I sat down with Gloria and Linda Bailey Davies recently to talk about the upcoming event and its importance to the community. Linda and Gloria Bailey Davies, it's so good to have you here today to talk about your involvement in the upcoming Lower Cape Pride event that's going to be held June 13th, 14th, and 15th here on Cape, and you too are the grand marshals of this event. Talk a little bit about this event, what it's designed to do and to be about.
Well, it's very exciting. Rick and Joan Francolini had an idea to start a gay pride event in a smaller area, not Hyannis or Provincetown, and have gotten people together, and people are working like crazy to have all different venues that are going to be going on that weekend. It's going to be very exciting, isn't it?
It's really exciting. And what's exciting to us is that it looks as if it's happening from the ground up, really. I mean, there are so many people. Some of the people we know, some of them we've never even met before, many of them young people.
Very young.
That's exciting.
Very
Yes.
young people. Like, some of them came to the Gala Ball. But it really is from the ground up, and there are all kinds of panels and what else?
I think Friday night, is there going to be at the bowling alley? Is it going to be a drag show, I think?
And there's a panel discussion the next day entitled In Solidarity There Is Strength that's going to feature a number of panelists.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the reason they reached out to us is they know what we've been through. And they know that it can happen, that we can have enough resistance and energy and numbers of people and sea change. And I think they wanted us, because we've been through that 21 years ago. And if we could do it back then, and then there's a groundswell of people now throughout the whole country who are ready and able and willing to fight for civil rights and not allow them to take it back. It's springing up all over the country, in little towns, not just the big cities. And I think that's what the effort is with Lower Cape Pride, to be one of the little towns that can sponsor a whole weekend long of activities and education and fun. And I'm really looking forward to it being a fun time, as well as educational for people.
And as you think about the young people who are involved, it's different than it was 20 years ago. How is it different in terms of the environment? We're living in a politically difficult time right now, but how is it different?
I think young people have a tremendous amount of energy and commitment and are willing to put themselves out there, really, in a way that it just amazes me.
And less homophobia.
Yeah, right. So they don't have the homophobia.
These young people don't have the same kind of homophobia we had internalized.
They grew up in a different time.
They did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're perhaps not even aware of what it was like 21 years ago.
Right.
But they know now they're feeling threatened with all that this current administration is doing to put the fear in all of us. They now feel it, like the young couple said to you after they gave a ball. This is the first time we felt safe to be together in public.
Now, you two never imagined yourselves to be social justice advocates. You got involved in the fight for same-sex marriage here in the state of Massachusetts. As you think about the issues today, what is your advice to young people who are leading the charge now in this next wave of social change? What advice would you offer?
Keep fighting.
Yeah.
Keep fighting and be together and put themselves out there. And what would you say?
And rally the troops.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us are in sort of semi-retirement about all of this, but we'll be there. We'll do whatever we can help, and I'm sure there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of older LGBT people who've been through the mill that are very willing to be available and to work with alongside and to give some tips about what they can do that will help. But I think they've got it on their own. They are filled with passion about fighting back.
And pride, right?
And pride, right.
You make an interesting point about the fact that young people today, in many cases, don't have that internalized homophobia. They're somewhat battle-hardened in part because of the legalization of same-sex marriage 20 years ago.
Right. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap this up, any other thoughts, sort of parting perspectives on the Lower Cape Pride event and what you hope people take away from it?
I hope people take away from it joy and a sense of community and a willingness to go out and keep fighting all together, because that's what we need to do.
Very good. Well, Linda and Gloria Bailey Davies, thank you so much again.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. See you there.
The town of Barnstable has announced Barnstable Town Hall's latest installment of the Artist Spotlight program, featured in the James H. Crocker Jr. Hearing Room and the Selectmen's Conference Room. Barnstable High School Studio Art Students exhibition will be showing through June 30th. The exhibition, titled The Memory Project, features students' created portraits of children around the world who have been neglected, orphaned, or otherwise disadvantaged. The title comes from its first intention, which was to provide handmade, heartfelt portraits as special memories of children in need. This year, Miss Faye Smith's studio art students created portraits for children in India. Additionally, the Artist Spotlight will feature photographs from first-year students in Barnstable High School's digital photography program. You can visit these exhibits Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
The Cape Cod Rabies Task Force has begun distribution of oral rabies vaccines in Barnstable County as of this week. ORV baits will be distributed in select locations, including Barnstable, by ground this year. The helicopter typically used for this initiative is not available this spring, so all vaccine bait will be distributed by car by volunteers and by staff from Barnstable County Department of Health and Environment, USDA Animal Health Inspection Service, New England Wildlife Center, Cape Wildlife Center, and more. The bait will be distributed in areas where raccoons, foxes, and coyotes frequent, and away from areas where domestic animals will find them. The bait is not harmful to people or pets, but if you do come across any, call the Rabies Task Force at 877-722-6725 to report it.
On April 24th, the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office alerted the public of a data breach. The breach was an intentional act by a sheriff's office employee who sent an email to their personal non-BCSO account containing a spreadsheet of names, home addresses, telephone numbers, birthdays, and social security numbers of one current and over 100 former sheriff's office employees. The employee in question has been placed on administrative leave while the matter is being investigated.
The town of Harwich recently informed the public that beach and transfer station stickers would not be available to purchase in person at the community center or Chamber of Commerce. However, after significant community pushback, they made the announcement that in-person sticker sales will be available beginning July 1st at the Treasurer's Office and the Recreation Department. Until then, you can still purchase your beach stickers online on the town's website or by mail. Transfer station stickers will not be available for purchase until June 9th. For more information, visit harwichmassachusetts.gov.
During spring break this April, 19 Dennis Yarmouth High School students made the 20-hour flight to Japan. The trip, titled Discover Science and Culture in Japan, was led by robots and applied technology teacher Chris Hansen. Students had the opportunity to explore robotics, engineering, and history, blending cutting-edge and ancient technology of this expansive culture. They visited Tokyo, Kyoto, Nara, and Osaka to explore the full breadth of Japanese history. Through real-time exposure to advanced technologies and advanced facilities, students were able to directly connect theoretical knowledge with practical, real-world applications. To learn more about the students' adventures, you can read the full article on the DY Regional High School website.
And lastly this evening, to Ryan Downs with a recap of This Week in Sports.
Welcome back to the Cape Media News Sports segment. I'm your host and local sports guy, Ryan Downs. The spring season is cruising along, and we're just about 3/4 of the way through regular season play. So let's check in with our teams and see how they've done so far. Before we get into our team's overviews, Cape Media News was able to catch a great baseball game this past Wednesday between DY and Nauset. Heading into the game, DY had a record of 8-4, and Nauset was sitting at 1-12. In the first couple of innings, DY was very close to pulling away, but left 2 runners stranded in the first, and in the second, with bases loaded, 1 out, Nauset stayed composed and turned a double play to get out of the jam. It was a 1-0 game up until the 6th inning. Nauset got a man on, moved him over with a bunt, then had a 2-run double to take the 2-1 lead. DY was able to get out of the inning by catching a runner trying to steal. They then tied the game up at 2-2, but left 2 more runners stranded. The following inning, Nauset went right back to what worked for them last time. They got a man on and bunted him over into scoring position. Then a little slap hit blooper was able to bring the runner in and take a 3-2 lead. Nauset had a man on second and third with 2 outs and was threatening to widen the lead, but DY's Gavin Desley was able to close it up and record 1 more strikeout. Only chasing 1 run, DY started the inning off with a little bloop hit, resulting in an error. Nauset's center fielder then made arguably a game-saving sliding catch for the first out of the inning, because there's no telling what would have happened if the ball had gotten by him. And Nauset's pitcher hunkered down and struck out the next 2 batters, stranding the game-tying runner on second base to end the game and take the win. DY just wasn't able to get their runners in all night. They finished the game leaving 8 runners in scoring position. But in the second and third inning, DY's Gavin Desley was able to strike out 5 consecutive batters. He pitched a complete game and finished with 7 strikeouts. He also had the game-tying RBI in the 6th inning. And unfortunately, DY lost another 1-run game yesterday to Sandwich for their 3rd loss in a row. They dropped down to 8-6 and will have the opportunity to bounce back next Tuesday when they host Sandwich. Now let's get a quick overview of all our teams. We'll start with Barnstable as usual. Barnstable's baseball team has had a tough year. They're currently 3-9, but they're somehow managing to do a little bit better than their softball counterparts, who own a record of 2-12. DY's baseball team is looking competitive, even amidst this little losing streak. They have a record of 8-6 and some tough games left on their schedule. Their softball team is also having a little bit of a down year. They have a 5-6 record to show for it. And last but not least, we have Monomoy. Their baseball team is also looking fairly competitive as the season winds down. With a 7-4-1 record, they have 8 games left on the schedule versus a few teams they have already won against, so hopefully it stays that way and they can just roll into the postseason. And their softball team is off to another unbelievable season. They're 13-0 and have outscored opponents 206-42 this season. And that's it for this week's Sports Update. Back to you, Rick and Suzanne.
Thanks, Ryan. If you still haven't gotten your Mother's Day gifts in order, the South Dennis Library has you covered.
Tomorrow morning from 10 to 12, head to the library to make a one-of-a-kind Mother's Day card. Choose from an ink thumbprint or collage design. This event is free while supplies last.
And thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story you'd like to see covered, send it to us by email, newstip@capemedia.org.
Stay up to date on all the local happenings by following us on Facebook and YouTube.
And make sure to tune in every Friday at 5:30 for more hyper-local news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV. For Cape Media News, I'm Suzanne Tenaire.
And I'm Rick Kuntz.